Hello, in 1111, we are going to move to syntax. We're going to cover some phrase structures and basic syntactic um, concepts. So, for example, in a sentence, "House painted student a de," um, this cannot be really grammatical. A student painted a house, it's grammatical. So you judge an utterance by the way it appears. One of the things you do, you pay attention to the order of these constituents or order of these words, right? So house painted a student a de, it's even difficult for me to read it, but a student painted a house, if the order is correct, it will be grammatical. And an utterance is grammatical if native speakers judge it to be a possible sentence in their language. So the component of grammar that is concerned with the form of grammatical sentence is called syntax. The approach to syntax that we're going to rely on is called a generative grammar. So why generative grammar? Well, the approach says that syntax is a system of rules and operations that can generate or produce grammatical sentences of a language, right? And the concept of grammaticality here is very important. So green sleep, ideas furiously colorless. I'm memorizing the performed of the score I sonata to hope someday. This should be ungrammatical, right? Ungrammatical meaning a string of words that is not possible sentence in a language cannot be produced by the syntactic rules of a language. So we have certain rules that guide us, and they say we cannot produce this kind of sentence in English. This reflects native speakers' judgment, of course. So green sleep is furiously colorless would be marked with this asterisk, meaning it's ungrammatical. Um, we can have like a sentence such as boy is at home, the girl is at home, the dog is at home, right? The boy is running, the boy is eating, the boy is resting. When acquiring our language, do we memorize each and every combination? Not really. There are plenty, millions of combinations. Instead, generative grammarians claim that words belong to different categories, such as noun, verbs, etc. This one, boy, girl, and dog is a noun. Running, eating, resting is a verb. And categories can be combined to form phrases and then sentences, right? So we can combine them and make a phrase such as duck, fly, right? We insert something else and we have a nice sentence, right? So, but the point is we cannot have fly ducks in this case, not right now, right? Words in all human languages that they can be grouped together into relatively small that can be grouped together into a relatively small number of classes are called syntactic categories or parts of speech. The classification of categories reflects a couple of things. So the types of meaning, the types of affixes, and the types of structures which they can occur in. What I mean by this is that we have a lexical category, for example, which we are going to call a syntactic category of a noun. Piper, boy, wheat, polyseme, moisture, bravery. Verb, adjective, preposition, and adverb, right? We can have, these are also called content words. Content words because they have a lot of meaning, they can change over time, right? And you can add some affixes to them. So they're more changeable than non-lexical categories or functional categories, such as determiner, degree word, auxiliary, model and non-model, and conjunction, right? So these words are very difficult to change, and they need a lot of centuries, so to say, to change because they are functional words. They connect certain dots in our sentences. Um, but there is a problem, of course. Some items can belong to more than one category. For example, near can be a preposition and a verb and an adjective. How can we then determine a word's category? Well, um, um, I'll skip this one. Nouns are generally entities, including individuals, like such as Bjorn, Elsa, and objects, book, desk. Verbs are actions such as run, jump, sensations, feel, hurt, and states. Be, remain. Adjectives are designated property or attribute of nouns: tall, green, colorful, faithful, unintelligent, right? So they describe some kind of a noun. Adverbs describe a verb: quickly, poignantly, saliently. But there are some problematic examples. So we can try to determine the category based on the meaning. Um, and these are the meanings of these items of nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs. Language is a noun, but it does not name an entity in the strict sense, right? It's not an entity. I cannot say fetch me language or look at this language. Like and fond as well. Like, mice like, or mice are fond of cheese. Both of these, like is a verb, fond is an adjective, but both of these have the same meaning. So this is problematic, right, for us. Then we can try with inflection if the meaning does work. So nouns usually take plural and possessive se, such as books, chairs, doctors, Nathan's, women's, right? Verb takes an ed, ing, and s. Arrived, played, spelled. Arriving, playing, spelling. Arrives, plays, spells. And adjectives can be compared, like taller, tallest, faster, fastest, bigger, biggest, smarter, smarter, smartest, right? So we can try with an inflection. Why not? But not every adjective will be intelligenter, right? It will be more intelligent. Or racism. Usually, cannot say racisms. Or I was called by one of the colleagues when I use homeworks, meaning homework assignments. That too, homework cannot be pluralized. So we have to maybe rely on the distribution. So distribution is the set of elements with which an item can co-occur. And it's something similar to phonological distribution, like when certain sounds can occur in this kind of environment. Well, these words can occur in this kind of syntactic environment. In this case, for example, nouns are usually followed or preceded by a determiner: a car, the manager. Actually, they are preceded by the determiner. Verbs are preceded by an auxiliary, such as has gone, will stay, did do, for example. Adjectives are preceded with a degree words, such as very rich, too big, right? Degree, something that asks for a degree of something. For example, we cannot say will destruction or will destructive. We can only say will destroy, right? So auxiliary goes with a verb. A determiner goes with a noun. We cannot say the destroy or the destructive on its own. We cannot just say, oh, it's the destructive. Destructive what, right? So destruction, we can say that. Very beautify, very beauty, no, but very beautiful, yes, right? All right. That's all good. And we practiced some of these when we were doing our Jabberwocky, right? Which is here, which is a poem by Lewis Carroll. And we determined what categories these words were, right? All right. And then I asked you, what can you see here, or what you can see, and you told me beads, right? Every bead corresponds to one word. At first, I was afraid. I was petrified. It just happens to coincidentally aligns with this line of Gloria Gaynor. But the point is, I want to ask you a question. Do we form sentences by simply stringing words like beads? The answer is no. For example, look at this. We need more intelligent leaders. I like green eggs and ham. The police shot the terrorists with rifles. Syntax puts words into units that are larger than words, but smaller than sentences. They are called phrases. If we didn't have phrases, we wouldn't be able to interpret these. For example, we need more intelligent leaders. So we need leaders, but they need to be more intelligent. Or we need more of intelligent leaders. So we already have intelligent leaders, but we need more, right? I like green eggs and ham, or I like green eggs and ham, right? The police shot terrorists with rifles. Terrorists were the one with rifles. And in the second case, the police was the one with rifles, right? Not terrorists. So the ambiguity is showing to us that we need phrases, not just strings of words. And what do phrases contain or consist of? Every phrase has at least one word, right? This word is called a head. It's obligatory nucleus. It's like a syllable nucleus, right? It needs to have it, and the phrase is built around it. The head determines the phrase's function, behavior, and category. For example, leaders, we can have more intelligent leaders. In this case, the behavior, everything that this more is describing intelligent, and more intelligent is describing leaders. So our leaders is the head of this phrase. It will determine the behavior and category, right? If this is a noun in this case, then it will be a noun phrase, right? So intelligent would be an adjective, leaders would be a noun, and more will be a degree word. We can have a head of this little phrase here, which is an AP, degree, and a adjective, which makes an AP, and more intelligent leaders, and NP, which are the two constituents, right? So basically, we have more intelligent leaders, whereby intelligent is an adjective, and leaders is a noun, and leaders is the main head of the whole phrase, determining the category of the whole phrase, which would be an NP. These two are called constituents. This could be called mother node, and this would be then its daughter node. We can also have intelligent leaders already, right? Which we will ask for more of them. And in this case, in both cases, leaders is a head, and a whole phrase is the head too. So apart from the head, we need to have specifiers. The leaders often fail, and these are two different things, and very smart. All of these are some phrases. So this is a noun phrase, this is a verb phrase, this is an adjective phrase. Remember, the syntactic category of a head determines the syntactic category of a phrase. So we have a very smart, often fail, the leaders, and in this case, we would have something that precedes the head, which we would call specifier. Specifiers have no single function or grammatical category, and they occur to the left of the head in English. We can have something that follows the head, like map of Canada, fond of wine, protect the plan. Of Canada is a prepositional phrase. Of wine is a prepositional phrase because preposition is the head here of this little phrase. But the whole phrase, the head of the whole phrase is fond, which is an adjective. The head of the whole phrase is a map, which is a noun. The head of the whole phrase is a verb, which is protect. So protect the plan. The plan is a noun, NP, of wine PP, and of Canada PP, and all of these that follow the head are called complements. Complements provide more information about entities' locations implied by the meaning of the head. So I can have protect the plan, and I can have always protect the plan. In this case, when I have a sentence like this, I can, instead of VP, build this to, or call this a V bar, right? It's sort of an instance of the of another VP, right? Instead of a VP with VP, I can have a V bar. Always protect the plan. In this case, protect is the head, complement is the plan, and specifier is always. So like instead of specifying what this is, we can have an unknown variable, which is x. I will have an x bar, and I will project this to next p. Instead of this phrase, I can have any other phrase. Very afraid of dogs. The road to success. So any phrase in English, the most minimal one, is built by following this kind of scheme or schema. This is what we call an X bar schema. It's a blueprint for every internal structure of the phrase. So any kind of phrase will have this. For example, I can have as small as a phrase as the boy, right? The boy. And I can follow the X bar schema. Look at this. The boy is the head, and this is a noun. That's my head, right? Head is the only obligatory element of this schema, right? I can only have a boy, just boy. But in this case, I have something else. So I have an, and then I can go further to X bar, right? If I follow that, and write N bar. Then if I follow this line, I'll go further, to an NP, because it's a noun phrase. This is a noun. It determines my whole phrase or the category of phrase. And I can have a specifier, which is a determiner here, that, D-E-T. And that's it. That's my phrase. All right. Following the X schema, or X bar schema, sorry. So we can have always in the house, always. In the house is an NP, and in is a PP, and always again a PP, because in is a whole phrase, right? Because now I have two PPs, I will follow the X bar schema and remove this PP and say it's a P bar, right? So this is how we can do it. In is a head, or P is a head, and P is a complement. P bar is like X bar, and adverb is a specifier, and finally we have PP, which is like NXP. So this is what we call the merge operation. We combine words in manner compatible with the X bar schema. The merge operation, as we will see later, is responsible for all the phrases, all the phrase structures, and phrase structures are just merged to, or words or syntactic categories are merged to create certain phrase structures. And we do this with the merge operation. In English, it's like this. In some other languages, it can be different. The head can be at the end of the sentence, such as in Nepali. And I'm again inviting Yoda. Dude, why do you talk backwards all the time? Backward talking, I'm not. English-centric view of grammatical structure you have. All right. So this was the merge operation. Okay. Let me open up something else, which follows our discussion on, oops, not this one. Actually, I have another thing here, which is, I think, sentences and complement options. So from phrases, we move forward. We need more intelligent leaders. I like green eggs and ham. I already covered this one. We said these are ambiguous phrases, and every phrase needs to have a head. Every phrase, or we can also have which we constituents right here. We can have specifiers which go before the head, and we can have complements which go after the head. Right. And with the X bar schema, we can basically generate any kind of phrase there is, right? It's a blueprint for the internal structure of any phrase. Okay, excellent. Now, I have a sentence. The hikers found the shortcut. The shortcut is an NP, right? Found a shortcut would be a VP. The hikers is an NP, and this is what we know as the sentence. But every sentence sentence typically consists of an NP, which is called a subject, and a VP, but they're linked together by a tense. Tense is the head of the sentence, so we need to have a T bar, which is projected to a TP. So I want to ask you to have V bars and NP or N bars all the time. You should have T bars all the time, right? Which are projected to TPs. Further, in this slot for head of the tense, we usually move or have plus past or minus past, which we will see now. So the head of the tense, head is the tense and has the tense phrase. Every sentence must have a tense, right? So every sentence needs to have a tense. Tense can be past, plus past, and non-past, minus past, right? So following the X-bar schema, we have a head right here. We have a complement, whole VP. We have a specifier, MP, and we have our XP, which is TP. And of course, I just forgot this one, X-bar, which is a T-bar, right? What about the following sentence? The hikers could find the shortcut. So in the following sentence, we do everything the same manner, and we just put could into this T slot instead of our past or plus past or minus past, right? The TP structure also provides us with natural place to locate modal auxiliaries. I will change this. It's not only modals, all auxiliaries. Locate all auxiliaries. So the hikers are finding the shortcut. You can put here are. The hikers will find the shortcut. You can put here will. The hikers did find the shortcut. You can put here, this one did. All right. How can we be sure that we have grouped words together into phrases in the right way? So this is a very important question for us to ask and answer, because we need to make sure that we are really putting together phrases, right? The first test is called the substitution test. Is a test used to determine if a group of words is a constituent by replacing them with a single word. Usually we will replace, for example, the children with children will stop at a corner. The children is a noun phrase, and will stop at the corner is a verb phrase, stop at the corner. I can say they, I can say will do so, right? If I can replace this with a do so, it is a verb. If I can replace the children with they, with only one word, it is an NP, and a pronoun is really a replacement for a noun, right? What about at a corner is a PP? The children will stop there. Oh, I can do that. That's nice. So that works. If I would to have the corner as a phrase, maybe, yeah. But for now, the children will stop at the corner. This works. Then another test is movement test. It's used for, it's basically moving the whole phrase to another position. The children will stop at the corner. For example, this PP, I can maybe move it at the corner. The children will stop, right? At the, can we move at the? No, because at the children will stop corner is not grammatical. So we cannot move everything. And coordination test. Coordination test is used when you want to coordinate something with and or. For example, the children will stop at the corner and look both ways. So we now know if we can use this VP here, which is different completely from this one, that this should be a VP, right? This should be our constituent. Certain categories can only be combined. Yeah, so these are the three tests that we need to be aware of. and we will have those for the quiz. A movement test, coordination test, substitution test. All right, certain categories. I want to mention one last thing for this let's say section. Certain categories can only be combined with a certain complement. So, for example, devour can be combined with an NP complement. The child devoured the sandwich. Devour without an NP complement cannot work. The child devoured nothing. It doesn't work. So this is what we need to be aware of. Vanish, arrive, and die can be left on its own. This is an empty category. It means that you can just say the line vanished. The professor proved the theorem. The man became very angry. The dog dashed to the door. We handed the man a map, right? MPNP. We bought a hat for ND. I talked to a doctor about Millie. We opened the door for a myth with a key. So there can be different combinations for verb complements. So these are verbs and the heads of the phrases, all of these phrases, and they can have different complements. In the case of, for example, the lion devoured the antelope, this is the direct object. So, and this word or verb would be transitive because there is certain kind of transition, meaning that there is a direct object. There is something that I'm putting my force on or looking at or observing. But if I say the rabbit dashed, there is no transition here, and we call it intransitive. We can also have both transitive and intransitive verbs, such as ate or eat. We ate our lunch. We ate. Both are fine. And we can have ditransitive verbs, where we have two objects, like we gave Marco a book. So two objects, and therefore die, which means two. In this case, you can do this, right? When you have VP, NP, NP, both NPs are the same level. And we have three lines, but I will mainly ask you to do examples with two of these lines with binary division. You should be aware of some other complement of other categories, actually. For example, car, boy, electricity is ahead of this one. Well, not the line car, of course, not just the car. Okay, that makes more sense. So it can go on its own, the car. It can be the memory of a friend or the car of a friend. It can be the presentation of a medal to the winner, right? So the double PP. Tall, green, and smart can be very tall or just tall, green, and smart. And we can be curious about something or fond of something, afraid of something, right? And finally, we have near, away, down. We got near, we got away, in the house, down into the cellar. So these here denote are nouns, and they have certain complements or complement options, such as pp and pp. Adjectives can be followed by a prepositional phrase or by nothing. Prepositions can be followed by nothing or np or pp, right? So these are all various possibilities when you are building sentences. We did our practice exercises during our class, so I won't go through that part of the discussion right now. Instead, I'll move on to complement clauses. So look at this. The children have seen a deer. The children, I'm just shortening these. Please do not do that. You need to have NP, then a line here, then a determiner, then and line here, the noun, and so on and so forth. So please don't do that. I'm just doing this for the sake of illustration. The children have seen a deer. This would be a V bar and a VP and a T. You can feel free to have this one even in here. Have seen a deer. I'm okay with that too. But because I want you to indicate this is non-past, you can put it this non-modal auxiliary into verb, right? Another verb had, and then here you can put minus past. In the same way, Malia is leaving, it's the same thing. All right. So I just wanted to mention that one. And now I want to move to the complementizer phrase. So for example, the fans hope for the win. This is a regular sentence. The fans hope for the win with a T, T bar, TP, and PP here. But I can have a sentence like the fans hope that the team will win, like another sentence. And the fans hope that the team will win. That is what we call a complementizer. And the whole phrase is called a complementizer phrase. This little sentence here is called embedded phrase because we are embedding something, we're inserting a sentence into a sentence. And this one is called matrix phrase or matrix clause. Both are good. All right, so now I have a CP, and of course, by following the X bar schema, I have a C bar, and of course a C, which is a head. And in this case, the head is that. I have a complement as well. The complement is TP, the whole sentence. How do you build the whole sentence here? Well, it's just if you were building the team will win, and that's it. Right, and specifier, here comes the specifier. For now, leave it empty. Right, okay. The fans hope that the team will win. This is the whole structure of this sentence. I want to mention there is no limit to the number of complementary phrases that can occur in a sentence. So Adetola said that you know that I think that blah, blah. All of that is possible, and you can have as many that you know that I think that so on and so forth. So far, we've covered noun phrases, verb phrases, adjective phrases, prepositional phrases, adverb phrases, tense phrases, and complementary phrases. So please, for all of these, you should know how to build them. And you should know that TP and CP, I will require from you for these two to have, these two, to have a T bar, right? Always a T bar or a C bar, right? So this one will have a C bar, and this one will have a T bar. So don't forget that, right? For the rest, only when you see it fit. For example, when you have multiple prepositional phrases within a prepositional phrases, then you can have a P bar. But it's okay if you don't, for now. All right, these were my complementizer phrases. And finally, we are left with WH questions and yes/no questions. So we now know how to build declarative or neutral sentences, but we are left with something like this. So for example, if I say those guys should leave and follow the X bar schema, for example, head of this sentence is should, and I build it for further to leave, which should be a complement, right? A VP. So now I have my X bar, I have head, and I want to have a TP, which is an XP. Okay, and my specifier are the NP, is the MP, those guys. What if I do this? If I move should to this place, what happens with should? Well, the answer is in the complementizer phrase, right? We have a CP or a C bar here. Should comes into a C slot, but should comes with a T. So the whole tense is moved. It changes its address, but not its identity, right? Should in the T, and we get should those guys leave, a question. But what should I do with this empty space here? Well, when you leave something, or when anyone leaves, they leave a trace, a T, which we call a trace. So now I will have a sentence, should those guys leave, and I will have a trace there, should here, and there is my question. The last part of it is the plus Q feature, which indicates it's a question. And that's all you need to know for now. We call this operation move operation. Move is a syntactic operation that transports an element to a new position within syntactic structure. So it's responsible for generating questions, such as should those guys leave? Are we meeting later? What are we studying about? And the difference between these two sets of questions is just in the answer. For example, should those guys leave? Yes, no. Are we meeting later? No. That's why we call these yes-no questions, because we give yes-no answers. And these ones are called WH questions because they begin with the WH word. What, whose, why, which, and so on and so forth. Right? Right? Okay. Another characteristic of move is plus Q. Plus Q indicates a question, right? Should those guys leave? There's my question. If I were to change it and to make it a declarative non-question, then I would say those guys should leave, and I would have a minus Q, right? Not a plus Q anymore. So that's what move has, or characteristics of move, or better to say of this complementizer. The auxiliary retains its T label, as we saw. It changes the address, not its identity. The position the T formerly occupied remains in the tree structure, and it's called a trace, right? The move operation is informally called inversion, and the inversion rule is called move T to the C position. However, because we are not really inverting two things, we're just moving one thing, then I will ask you to call it move. That's all okay to know, but moving T to the C position. And we practice, will you purchase those sneakers? I'll try to build it for you. Will you purchase those sneakers, for example? It should go something like this. Okay, sneakers. Let's see. Okay, here you go. Maybe here. Will you purchase those sneakers? Sneakers is a noun. Those is a determiner. This whole thing is an NP, right? Noun phrase. Purchase is a verb. This whole thing is a verb phrase. You is a noun, right? And, you know, this you will moved actually from this slot. You will purchase, right? So it used to be here. Now it's not anymore. So what do I have there? I have a trace, and the trace goes into T. And of course I have a T bar, right? The whole T bar goes into TP. And, oops, no, what did I do? No, and the TP in noun or noun phrase, in this case, NP, U goes into a TP, right, as a specifier. Will, as we said, is a tense. that left a trace and it goes into a C, right? The C, I'll try to do this. The C goes into a C bar. Oops, again, C bar, come on. And the C bar into a CP, right? And we'll leave this empty for now, right? Okay. So, will you purchase those thinkers? That's what it should look like. As for the WH questions, it's important to know the WH words such as who and who did you see and its category. It's a noun. What did you buy? What movie did you see? This first one is a noun and this second one is a determiner. So what did you buy? Like I bought a sweater. What movie did you see? Good movie, for example. Which do you prefer? Which car do you prefer? Noun, determiner. Which, where are you going? As an adverb. When did you come? Is an adverb. And why is an adverb. Why are these adverbs? Because this one determines the location. Where are you going? This one determines the time, and this one determines the reason, right? How did you escape? How is also WH question. How is an adverb. How rich are you? It's a degree, all right? So these are known as WH questions. And how do we know that we have move operation WH questions? Well, for example, you can say to someone, Rada can speak Yoruba, Chilbon, and Isiro. They will talk about onomatopoeia. And they will ask you, what? They don't know these languages. They will just ask, Rada can speak which languages? They will talk about what? These are actually complements of the noun, of the verb speak and talk. That's how we are going to treat them. That's where they move from, right? So Rada can speak which languages? First, there is an inversion, right? T can goes into C position and leaves a trace. Then there is a WH movement whereby which languages, the whole phrase, enters the CP slot, and we have a trace here, which we call WH movement, right? What will you purchase? In the same manner, we can build this one. No, not a comment. Okay. We can build this one as well. What will you purchase? Right? You can start with the deep structure or with the underlying structure. You will purchase. You will purchase what? Right? And then move from there. Let's do that one. Okay. So what will you purchase is basically you will purchase what? And we can treat it as any sentence, like what is a noun? Like you will purchase a bag, right? Noun or noun phrase. Purchase is a verb. Will is a tense. You is a noun, right? So these two, okay, I can say this one is a VP as well, and these two are another VP. And when I have two VPs in one, I have, instead of VP, I have a V bar in this case. And there is a T bar here, right? Goes to T, P, and this NP goes into TP, right? Now, I want to move will first here, so I'll move it and ask, will you purchase what? Tense goes the whole thing, and it goes into C. C is projected to C bar, right? And finally, I have CP, right? This is where my what is going to go. So the next step is placing it here. What, right? Which is an NP, whole thing. So I'm replacing the whole thing, right? Or I'm moving the whole thing, not replacing. And it goes into a CP, right? That's it. That's all you need. Now we can do one more thing. Just a sec. I can maybe do this. Well, erase it because it's erased. And maybe I can do this, right? So I have two empty spaces. What goes in there? It's a trace and another trace, right? You can also mark it as T1 and T2 if you want. That would be nice. All right, this is how you are going to do it. What will you purchase? Finally, we need to understand that this one, you purchase what, is what we call a deep structure, and it's obtained after the merge, right? After we merge all the elements like x, x bar, xp, complements, stuff like that. Then after move operation, we get a surface structure. So basically, we can have two things here. You will purchase what? This would be our deep structure. And after movement, so we apply the move operation, what will you purchase, right? And there goes our question. All right. Yeah. So these are the two structures that you need to be aware of. And that's it from me now for syntax. See you in the next video, maybe for some practice videos, but we will try to practice these all through our classes.